All right, so of course they're going to wait for the final 2 episodes to get this season really going. But hey, we finally have progression. That's the key thing here. I'm happy we have progression. We have a lot more questions, obviously, but we have progression. And we're starting to get the idea, or at least they're opening the door up for us to believe that this could be very much a loop of reincarnation. Everyone in the town could possibly be a reincarnation of someone else. And now we're thinking that that possibility is that Tabitha is a reincarnation of Victor's mom. We kind of suspected that earlier. There's a lot of things linking them together, and there's a lot of things linking Jim to Henry. So there's a possibility there as well. So as usual, we're going to go over some of the things we've seen in this episode and the possibilities, thoughts on it, things like that. Starting with the fact that Victor is losing his mind. He's so upset with the fact that everything that he thought he knew is basically a little bit muddled in his memory. And now that he is starting to actually figure things out, he now blames himself for his mother's death. If he hadn't have told his mom about the story of having to save the Ankui kids, then she wouldn't have went after them and she would still be alive. So he's very upset about that. He doesn't know what to believe anymore. He decides he's going to get an axe and go chop down the bottle tree. Clearly not a good idea. Which is why the boy in white shows up and tells him, please do not do this. Do not cut that tree down. It is far too important. And that's when Victor starts asking questions. Why is this tree important? What is going on? What can I do to help? I don't know what to do. And the only answer that the boy in white gives him is, just trust me, do not cut down that tree. And then when Victor asks more questions, the boy just walks off, disappears. That's it. So that part is kind of frustrating for Victor. Meanwhile, Jim is finally realizing that he's been a bit of a jerk this whole time. He's not been a good husband. He's not been a good father. He's losing his mind. Basically, the town is getting to him. He's finally starting to crack. But he realizes that and says, you know what? I've got to buckle down. I need to get behind my wife and support her in trying to figure out what's going on. Now I'm starting to like Jim again. He's not the total douchebag that he's been the whole season. He's kind of reformed. Now, we also have the fact that Fatima is still locked in the cellar. Elgin is keeping her down there, and now he's feeding her, but it's not food. It's a jar full of blood, and he wants to also feed her the rotten crops again. But he's telling her that this baby in her needs to eat, but it needs to eat this stuff, this weird stuff that she doesn't want, which really kind of solidifies the fact that this thing is evil. So she reluctantly ends up drinking this jar of blood, but she feels phenomenally better now. Of course, now that she's done that, her stomach starts to grow. So she's showing this pregnancy now. And clearly there's something in there. Whatever it is has enough power to block the image of the ultrasound that they had taken prior. Now, Fatima also finds a steel door in the floor of the cellar. Where that goes, we don't know yet because she hasn't been able to open it. She's trying, no success yet though. But while Boyd and Ellis are out trying to find her, Boyd's Parkinson's acting up again. It's starting to get worse. Now it's going down his leg, and Ellis didn't know about this, so now he's concerned with what's going on. Boyd has no option but to tell him about the Parkinson's and how it's getting worse, and that there's a possibility that he may not be around much longer. But that doesn't matter because they still got to find Fatima, so they end up having to put together a search party. They break up into groups of 2s, where Elgin strategically picks Ellis to go search for Fatima so they can kind of lead him away from the cellar, trying to keep him off track and tell him in the process, oh, I think everything's going to be fine. We don't need to worry. Maybe she's just out doing what she needs to do to help the town. All this other kind of crazy crap that we know is nothing but, a diversion. Boyd chose Kenny to go look because he's got to tell Kenny about his Parkinson's getting worse and hopes that Kenny will take his place when the time comes. He tells Kenny, you know, there's going to be a time where I'm either gone or too bad off to continue taking charge, and he wants him to do it. And Kenny's like, no, I don't want to take your place. I don't want to be you, but for now, I will take that deputy badge back and help you out, which I think is awesome. I loved Kenny as the deputy. He's grown so much that I think he would be a great replacement for Boyd. Now Jade, he's rebuilding a bottle tree, hoping that it's going to help him figure this out. Maybe it's going to add clues or whatever else it's going to do. And while doing it, he sees Christopher and Jasper. Well, hallucinates Christopher and Jasper and starts talking to them for a minute when Henry rolls up like, hey Jade, there's nobody there. You're talking to the air. And then they have a little conversation about how Henry's having a hard time getting through to Victor because he doesn't want to accept who Victor is here. He wants to fix him, but he doesn't need to be fixed. He's just a product of his environment. But Julie did tell her parents about everything that happened with Randall and how she kind of like had this weird dream when she passed out or blacked out. But we know what that really is. All right, that's kind of like time travel back to when Boyd was stuck in the well. We went through that last episode. So at least now she's being upfront and honest about what's going on. And now Tabitha, every time she touches something, she's getting a flashback or a memory. And that's where they're kind of hinting at the reincarnation aspect of things. Because while she's talking to Julie, one of the Ankui kids shows up and wants her to follow them. So her and Julie follow them to the cellar door where Fatima is. The door is open, she touches it, and she has this like weird sense going on. She doesn't tell you what she saw or what she's feeling, but something happened. She goes down there and finds Victor staring at a wall. She embraces him, tries to tell him that everything's okay. And when she hugs him, she gets that same feeling as if she's done that before down in the cellar. And then you get this little flashback of Victor's mom hugging Victor and his sister before she leaves. So now she's kind of like, holy crap, maybe there's this whole reincarnation thing, or she's living that life again, or something. She knows something's not right. But while she's down there, the weird shriveled up creature in the kimono is silencing Fatima so that she's not found. This creature, this thing, wants Fatima to give birth to this child, whether it thinks the baby belongs to it or whatever the scenario is, I don't know. But clearly, this thing is not good. But it's weird how at the end, Tabitha was starting to freak out when they all left the cellar and Julie went to embrace her and say, hey, what's going on? What's wrong? And she didn't want to be touched by Julie, but she did go and grab Victor. So that kind of makes you think, you know, she's getting the feelings of Victor's mom. I don't know. This is weird, but I am now excited for the finale. I am also expecting the finale to leave us on a huge cliffhanger, the same as season 2, and it's going to drive us nuts, but we know it's going to happen. I'm glad we finally have progression. I'm glad we finally have something else to look forward to. I have a feeling the finale is going to leave us with Fatima giving birth and Tabitha coming to some major realization. That's my predictions. We'll see what happens. I want to know what your thoughts are on this episode and where it's going into the finale. Drop your comments down below. Hit that like button and subscribe button on your way out. And I'll see you in the next episode.